Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more. My best friend, Lee, joined the army straight after high school. I, on the other hand, decided to focus on my education and enrolled in community college. A 4-year university was beyond what my family could afford, and at the time, I had no financial means of my own. Lee tried to convince me to join the army with him, promising educational benefits. But I told him, a free education wouldn't be worth much if you ended up dead in Iraq or Afghanistan. There weren't many jobs for well-educated corpses. Lee, however, thought the odds were in his favor. His recruiter assured him he probably wouldn't even be deployed. Well, that didn't turn out the way he expected. After finishing basic training and supply school, guess where his first assignment was? Afghanistan. Lee, ever the optimist, told me that the instructors in supply school had reassured him that he would be stationed in a big warehouse on a protected base, away from the front lines. But that wasn't the case. He believed his recruiter, and that belief didn't hold up. Yes, he worked in supply, but his job was far from simple. He spent most of his time picking up supplies in a 5-ton truck to deliver them to small, isolated outposts across the country. Think roadside bombs, IEDs, RPGs, definitely not the cushy assignment he was promised. But I digress. Now, the point I was getting to, before I started rambling, was that before Lee left, he asked if I wanted anything from Afghanistan. I joked that if he happened to come across a genie in a bottle, he should send it my way so I could make some wishes. Lee laughed and replied, "I'll look for one if I find it, but you know, genies and magic carpets are Persian, like from Iran, not Afghanistan. So, don't get your hopes up," he chuckled again. Fast forward to the airport, where I was there with Lee and his family to say goodbye before he shipped out. He was heading to Afghanistan the following week, so this would be the last time I saw him for at least a year. Knowing Lee wasn't much of a writer, I didn't expect to hear from him much, maybe just an email or a quick Facebook message. I was right. 6 months passed without any word from him. One day, I came home from class, and Mom mentioned there was a package for me on the dining room table. I walked over and found a box about 8 inches by 8 inches and about 15 inches long, marked fragile. Imagine my surprise when I saw it was from Lee. I hurriedly opened it and found an ornate bottle inside, along with a note from Lee. As usual, the note was short and to the point. "Jim, here's the genie in a bottle you wanted. Actually, I have no idea what's inside because I couldn't open it. Merry Christmas, Lee." I stared at the bottle in my hands. It was made of glass, opaque, and I couldn't see what was inside, if anything. The bottle had a golden tint and was decorated with cut stones, making it look like something from an Arabian Nights story. The stopper was made of glass, and Lee was right, it wouldn't budge. I twisted it, pulled, tapped it, nothing. Then, I took the bottle to the kitchen, laid it in the sink, and filled it with hot water. After a few moments, I noticed small bubbles escaping from the stopper, so I took it out of the water and tried again. This time, there was a whoosh and a pop, and the stopper came free. I half expected a puff of smoke to come out of the bottle, swirling around and forming into a large man dressed like a classic genie, complete with a turban and gold hoop earrings. But, no, that didn't happen. In fact, nothing happened at all. I stared into the bottle, seeing nothing inside. I shook it over the counter, tapping the bottom with my palm like I was trying to get ketchup out of a bottle. After a lot of shaking, something finally fell out onto the counter. At first, I thought it was just some dust or dried up remnants of whatever had been in the bottle. But when I took a closer look, I saw about half a dozen tiny plush pillows. They were red, with gold braiding around the edges and little tassels on each corner. No way, I thought. So, I opened the kitchen drawer, grabbed a magnifying glass, and took another look. Yep. They were little throw pillows. Intrigued, I shook the bottle again, hoping for something more. This time, more items tumbled out. More pillows in different bright colors, a couple of small platters, a tiny gold goblet, a pitcher, and, unbelievably, a hookah. I went back to the junk drawer and pulled out a small LED flashlight. I shone it down the neck of the bottle, and what I saw was unbelievable. Inside was a full-blown living space, Persian carpets, plush pillows, draperies, and a big entertainment center with a huge flat-screen TV. Well, maybe not exactly like the movies, but standing in the middle of it all was a guy dressed just like a genie, and he did not look happy. He was making all sorts of hand gestures at me, none of them friendly. I shouted into the bottle, "Hey, you're supposed to come out in a puff of smoke when I open it." A tiny voice replied, "I don't come out, and I don't grant wishes. Now, put the stopper back and stop shaking my bottle." "But you're a genie," I protested. "Duh. You have to come out and grant me 3 wishes." "No, I don't." "Yes, you do. That's how it works." "What rules?" "Show me." "It's in all the stories. A person finds the bottle, opens it or rubs it, and the genie comes out to grant 3 wishes," I explained. He looked up at me and said, "Those are just stories. I can't be held responsible for what other genies do or what gets written in fables. Now, stop shining that light in my face, put the stopper back in, and leave me alone. Not until you grant me my 3 wishes." "Not gonna happen." "Why not?" "If I tell you, will you go away?" "Maybe." "All right, here's the deal. For the first 1,000 years after I was condemned to this bottle, I, as you say, followed the rules. And what did it get me? I pop out, grant 3 wishes, and then get sucked back into this boring bottle. Great, right? But then I discovered something. If I don't grant any wishes for a whole year, I get 3 wishes of my own." "You granted yourself wishes?" "Yeah, and it was awesome. Look at all this." He spun around, arms wide. "This is just my media room. I have over 200 other rooms, a dish TV package with everything, high-speed internet, unlimited cell phone minutes and texting, Blu-ray, surround sound, and theater popcorn." "Genies like popcorn? Doesn't everyone?" "Now, stop interrupting. Where was I? Oh yeah, I've got an indoor Olympic pool, a workout room, a bowling alley, a squash court, and a 50-acre estate with a stable of fine Arabian horses. I have everything I could ever want, right here in my bottle, so why would I want to leave it? I've got plans for my 3 wishes this year. Why should I give them to you just because you opened a bottle? And by the way, the hot water trick. Terrible. It was so hot in here that the AC couldn't keep up. I must have sweated off 10 pounds. That's what genies are supposed to do. You're not being fair. Slow on the uptake, huh? There's no supposed to. There are no rules. Fair is whatever I say it is. I'm the genie. I do what I want. Now, turn off the light, close the bottle, and leave me alone." At this point, I was furious. I yelled, "I want my wishes. Get out here and grant me my wishes. Make me." "All right, you asked for it," I muttered as I turned the bottle over and shook it harder than before, but nothing happened. All I got was more of his stuff spilling across the counter. I threatened to break the bottle, but he assured me it was indestructible. Naturally, I didn't believe him. I grabbed it by the neck and slammed it against the edge of the counter. No luck. He was right. I leaned against the counter, out of breath, and tried to think of another approach. Then it hit me, shaking him out, talking him out, and even trying to break the bottle wasn't working. Maybe I could flood him out. "All right, last chance. Are you coming out?" I asked. "No," came the reply. "Fine. You asked for it." I turned on the water, grabbed the spray nozzle, and stuck it in the bottle opening. As I pressed the handle, hot water poured into the bottle. I heard him yelling, "What are you doing? Stop that. You'll ruin everything I own. Tough luck. Come out." I yelled back. "No," he shot back. "Then I hope you can swim," I said, continuing to spray hot water into the bottle. After a while, the bottle overflowed onto the counter. I stopped spraying and watched as a small head with a turban popped up, grabbing the rim of the bottle opening. After coughing up water and spitting, he finally choked out, "Okay, okay. You win. I'll grant the wishes, but let me warn you, I'll grant them exactly as I hear them. Now get me out of this water. It's hot." "Fine," I said, reaching down, grabbing the back of his shirt, and setting him on the counter. "Let me think about this. My first wish is..." "Whoa, hold on. Every wish has to start with, 'I wish,' so there's no doubt about it," he interrupted. "All right, okay. I wish that Lee and I both graduated from a 4-year college with full scholarships instead of him joining the army. That's almost 2 wishes. Try again." "Huh. Oh, right. I wish that Lee and I both went straight from high school to a 4-year college and graduated on full scholarships. How's that?" "Not great, but I'm in a hurry." "Done. I don't feel any different. How do I know you really granted my wish? Think about the college you attended and who your roommate was." "Oh wow. It worked," I said, shocked. "Now, let's hurry up. I need to drain my bottle before it gets too much damage." "Okay. I wish I had a wallet that always had the right amount of money to cover whatever I wanted or needed." "Good one. Done. Next." At that point, Mom walked into the kitchen and stopped, staring at the mess on the counter. "What have you done to my kitchen? There's water everywhere, and look at this mess, Jim." I felt nervous with the tiny Genie on the counter behind me. I needed Mom to leave before she saw him and made things worse. Of course, things didn't go according to plan. I quickly blurted, "Don't worry, Mom. I'll clean it up right away." I was just. But like all good moms, she didn't let me finish. "Jim, sometimes I wish you were more like your sister. Always neat, settled in a nice house with a good husband and plans for a family." I heard the tiny voice of the Genie behind me say, "Excellent. Perfectly stated. Done, and goodbye." No. My world went dark for a moment. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying on my back in a bed. There was a weight on my chest and abdomen. I heard Lee's voice saying, "God, I love you so much, Jamie." Then, the weight shifted, pressing harder on me. I felt something shift inside me. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. My eyes flew open, and I was looking directly into Lee's face as he eased up for a moment, only to move down again. Something stirred inside me. Oh my God. What's happening? I tried to push him off, but he eased his weight off a bit, concerned. Am I too heavy? I'm trying to be careful. I don't want to hurt the baby. At that moment, I realized it was no use. I stared up at Lee's face, seeing the concern written on it. Something inside me melted. I raised my arms, wrapped them around his neck, and pulled him closer. We continued, and not a bad conclusion, I thought. That was 5 Christmases ago. I never saw the bottle or the Genie again. Trust me, I looked. Mom has no memory of that day in the kitchen. Lee remembers nothing about the army. And Sis and Dad only remember me as their daughter and sister, a bit of a pain in the neck. Lee Jr. was born 6 months after Mom's wish, and a few years later, Samantha, Sammy, joined the family. I'm still chest feeding her. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and Lee has a job he loves, running his own import retail business. We do well on his income, but I always have my ever-full wallet as backup, which I haven't told him about yet. He thinks I'm an amazing money manager, haha. I just tell him it's because of my degree in accounting. Here's the funny thing about that degree. I have it. It's officially on record, but I have no memory of attending a single class. I can remember everything that happened that one fateful day, but none of the things everyone else recalls, like growing up as a girl, dating, going to college, getting engaged, or having a wedding. The last part's a bit of a bummer. I really wish I could remember my own wedding, but at least I have the photo album and videos. What really gets to me, though, is that I don't remember our wedding night. But Lee does, so I live it through him. Damn, I wish I had been there. It took me a while to adjust to everything. Mom and sis only remember me as a major tomboy who never wore makeup or anything remotely feminine. I was always in jeans and a t-shirt with old sneakers, covered in grease from working on my car. So, when I asked for their help with girly stuff, they were incredibly supportive. I learned more about female things than I ever thought I would. They still consider me a bit of a tomboy because I still work on our cars and am the Miss Fix-It around the house, but I can now present myself as a decent-looking woman when needed. Dad says I clean up pretty well. And don't mess with me when there's a game on TV, any game, any sport. If you want to live to see the next sunrise, you'd better leave me alone. I see my life as a blend of the best of both worlds, with only a few less than pleasant parts to tolerate, like feminine hygiene. So gross. Anyway, I think I hear Sammy stirring, so I'd better wrap this up. If you ever come across that reluctant Genie, just remember what happened to me. Some parts were good, some not so much. You decide your own fate, but at least now you'll know how to get that little SOB out of the bottle. Just make sure the water is really hot. Don't forget to join me on Patreon for exclusive content,